So she's going to put in a good word. Hey, let my boys sit at your left and right. But she doesn't really know what she's asking for, because she's asking, as Jesus says, for her boys to be special. You want to be number one? You got to be number one like Jesus when it comes to serving. And if you want to be really great, then you got to be a slave to somebody else, that you're going to be there at their beck and call. But I really love this feast. I remember Father Paul, when he was here, I can't help but tie the feast in with Father Bob Worm. He had you preached at the funeral right here. Wasn't carpeted yet. Archbishop of Vigneron had the Mass. And I'm sure it was the first time he was on plywood. But it was great. And then I can't help but tie it in with Father Worm, because Father Worm and this whole thing is all about, this week's about hospitality. Sunday we heard that beautiful story in Genesis of Abraham and making God really at home with him, and then Martha and Mary. And it was 19 years ago that I came over to visit Father Worm, and I said to him, I'm going to have my hip replaced. And I hear you had your hip replaced, and I'm living with Dr. Bauer now in Hazel Park, and I'm upstairs, in the bathroom's upstairs, and there's no bathroom on the main floor. And I wonder how you got along. He said, you got to be on the main floor. And he said, we got a team here, he says. And he said, you can come live here. I said, I'm just going to live here till I recover. Then when I came to live here after the surgery, the first thing he says, we're going to the opera. I've never been to an opera. We're going to the opera. How about coming with us? I said, well, I don't feel that I'm ready for any opera. And then he says, it's not bad. I said, don't you have to go upstairs? He said, yeah, but there's an elevator. It goes to the 3rd floor. What he didn't tell me is there are 3.5 floors in the opera. The tickets he buys are up in the nosebleed area. And gosh, that was the toughest night I've ever had. Steep looking down, trying to walk with a cane or some brace. But, he opened up the world for me. Then when I was ready to go, I said, I'm going to go because I'm not going to be your associate here, and I don't want to be letting the people think that I am good. He says, no, he says, stay. I said, stay, I don't help. He said, no, you're good for the parish. Stay. He was just so inviting, really. Made me feel at home. And I think that's the key, You want to be a servant of God, you got to bend. You got to move in a lot of different directions. And then you end up being the slave of the very people that you're trying to help. That's what Jesus is saying. You got to serve if you want to be number one. And the great thing about St. James is this. When we look at the scriptures, he's the one that, together with his brother John, they were fishermen. Jesus says, hey, follow me. They leave their father, their family, their livelihood. They follow him. And James is very special in the scriptures because he's present at the transfiguration when Jesus reveals his glories. He's present when Jesus raises Jairus' daughter from the dead. He's there for a glorious event, a joyful event for the family. And he's also there in the agony in the garden. He's in these mysteries that we have all around the church, the joyful, the sorrowful, the glories of God. He was there for the whole show. If you follow him, you're going to be involved in the total Jesus, who not only gives up his life, but he brings joy to others and he enjoys the glory of God's presence. That's the patron of this parish. He's a person, whether he's the pastor or the person in the pews, who's totally involved in the mysteries of God. He's there to suffer, he's there to give joy, and he's there to enjoy the glory of God's presence in his daily life. Marie didn't always understand that, but she wanted that for her boys. And it's sort of appropriate that our Blessed Mother wants the same thing for her children, to be involved in the total Jesus. So, St. James, be one of our special patrons here at our Mother of Perpetual Help. Amen. The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.